Our latest video was presenting Fabrica, a platform that the Russian Federation was using to manage a large amount of bot accounts used to promote or demote online content, with the end goal to influence individuals or entire populations. This isn't exclusive to Russia, though. Nowadays, most nation-state actors operate similar capabilities. Just like in the past, when spy agencies used newspapers and radio broadcasts to conduct information operations, today they use online means. In this video, we'll do a deep dive on bot farms, based on the information released by Ukraine's domestic spy agency, officially known as the Security Service, or SBU. Welcome to Tradecraft Sunday. Back in 2023, I, Anastasios, did this research for a cybersecurity conference, and I was opening it up with this video, asking the audience, do you know what you see in here? This is one of the numerous bot farms, as SBU calls them, that Russian intel services were operating inside Ukraine. But why? Quite simple, to do what Fabrica was describing. If you didn't watch the Fabrica video, Fabrica had two operations. First, the passive manipulation, where the bots are used to like, subscribe, repost, share, and generally promote content that they want to raise in the search results and rankings. And secondly is the active manipulation, where these bots are used to directly message individuals or group of individuals, again to influence them. See this for example, saying, say no to mobilization. On May 21st, 2022, at 12 o'clock, go out to the City Hall, save the lives of your loved ones. And the whole purpose of active measures is that by continuing bombarding your targets with those messages, eventually they'll get influenced by it. As former Deputy Assistant of US Secretary of State, Dennis Cox said,
one way of looking at the impact of these activities, and they've gone on for many, many years, since the 1950s, so that you're speaking of 30 or so years of such activities, is to think of drops of water falling on a stone. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 hour, 1 day, nothing happens. But 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, you've worn a hole in the stone.
And here's another example, saying, Ukrainian soldier, they will find you only when the snow will melt. Another use for them was to flood targets with messages so they cannot process legitimate reports or communications. And from Snowden's leaked files, we also know that Britain's GCHQ had also used this exact same tradecraft in Afghanistan and elsewhere. Another use was to target individuals for hacking operations, basically using those fake profiles to send links with malware or exploits to compromise their devices. And by far the use that is most aligned with our content is that of covert communications. Say you are an agent of Russia inside Ukraine. Russian intel officers can grant you access to such a profile, which isn't associated to your real identity, and those can even get digitally daisy-chained to create a more covert communications channel. And during this research, I was able to discover such operations inside Ukraine, even years before the February 2022 invasion. For example, in the period of 2020-2021, there were many operations inside Ukraine with themes including anti-vaccine, supporting the LNR-DNR, asking for participation in anti-government movements, donations to pro-Russia organizations, and other similar subjects. Hopefully by now you understand how those accounts are being managed, why they are used. So let's see how the actual technical setup looks like. At a high level, there is an SMSC or similar software that is connected to some commercially available multi-port GSM modem or modems. Think of each slot that you see here in this device as a mobile phone, each one containing a unique SIM card, and all of them controlled centrally through the software installed in the computer. All of that infra is perfectly legal in most places, and commercially available too. Especially Chinese models of those devices are quite reliable and can be purchased for very low prices. Now imagine how many bot accounts you can create with all of them. And more importantly, they'll appear to be domestic to where those SIM cards are from. And here we face the first challenge. To do that at scale, you need lots of SIM cards. Like literally buckets and buckets of SIM cards. To give you a perspective, on average in Ukraine, each bot farm had 9,500 SIM cards. Back in 2023, when I did this research, there were over 65,000 SIM cards used, managing over 2 million online accounts. I was unable to identify with conclusive evidence how the Russian spy agencies could overcome this challenge, but first-hand reports suggest corruption as the primary means. Basically, if you know who to bribe in Ukraine, you can get that many SIM cards without drawing any attention. But even if you bought the GSM modems, got tons of SIM cards, you have another problem. How to operate them so they can have coverage, but not get immediately discovered. The Tradecraft observed was first to avoid using all of them at once, and gradually moved towards many smaller bot farms than few huge ones. However, due to reception requirements, there are limitations on how to conceal them, since their antennas need to be able to connect, so a lot of times they were placed near windows, with their units concealed somewhere inside the house. And although GSM modems is the most scalable and efficient approach, over the years there were also many setups discovered that used standalone GSM dongles, like this, or that. To understand how common this is in Ukraine, in 2023, a 4-episode TV series was released titled Bot Farm to raise awareness about this topic. And in 2024, it also became available through Netflix.
Почалася війна. Я тепер точно знав, хто я і на чиєму боці.
Okay, so let's recap. We saw how the bot farms can be used, their architecture and its main challenges, a few recent examples from Ukraine, and in the previous video we talked about management platforms like Russia's Fabrica. But how do Russian intel services set those up inside the country that they are at war with? And for that, we are back to good old human intelligence operations. In every single publicly disclosed case of a disrupted bot farm, there was not even a Russian intel officer anywhere nearby. Typically, they are remotely recruiting tech-savvy Ukrainians that are looking to earn some money online. Actually, there were even instruction guides circulating among Ukrainian groups on how to set those farms up to make some money, without even being recruited by Russian spies. The only difference is that when they set those up with Russian spies backing, Russian intel services usually cover some of the initial setup expenses. In either case, though, once they set them up, they advertise them to scammers in cybercrime groups or rent them out completely to Russian intel officers that integrate them to platforms like Fabrica for centralized management. Also worth sharing that in most cases, those recruited Ukrainian agents are paid in cryptocurrencies. And in case you are curious, here's how this management console from one of those bot farms looks like. It's where the Ukrainian operators could see who is using which cards, how much to charge them, and so on. Before closing though, it's crucial to note that although my research was focusing in Ukraine, this Tradecraft has been used by spy agencies all across the world for quite a few years. Not necessarily to that level of sophistication and scale, but definitely in smaller scale operations. For instance, in November 2017, the Egyptian spy agency, the GIS, disrupted a spy ring of 29 agents operating under the orders of the Turkish MIT in Cairo. The ring had a similar setup in their safe house. This one. Or from October 2014 in Pakistan, when the Crime Investigation Cell disrupted this covert communications network. Or this 2016 disrupted covert communication station from Pakistan. You can find similar examples from other spy agencies across the globe. However, since this is still actively used tradecraft, it's not so widely discussed by most people outside of the spy world. All in all, this isn't a solution to all the problems that a 21st century spy might face, but it's definitely a well-established tradecraft that it's important for all spies to be familiar with. From fake social media accounts, message flooding attacks, covert communications networks, and hacking into mobile devices. This shows us how tradecraft is constantly evolving and why we say that nothing is as it seems.